My name's Mackenzie, and at 31, I never imagined my life would turn into a warning label about trust. Just a month ago, I sold my tech startup for $20 million. Yeah, the kind of deal people dream about. I was ready to buy my dream house with $10 million in cash. No mortgage, no strings. Coming from where I did, that felt like a full circle moment. I grew up in a cramped 2-bedroom apartment in Portland, where the wallpaper peeled and mold crept in like a second tenant. It was me, my mom Diane, and my little sister Rebecca. Mom worked double shifts at the diner, always coming home on aching feet, the smell of fryer grease clinging to her clothes like a second skin. We didn't have much. One gift at Christmas, homemade birthday cakes, and vacations were nothing more than stories other kids told at school. But I never let that define me. I saw education as my escape route. While other kids played tag and went to sleepovers, I was holed up in the library or clocking hours at the local grocery store. Every dollar I earned, I saved. Every test I took, I crushed. Not out of pride, but out of fear. Fear of staying stuck in that life. My high school counselor once told me, "You work like someone's chasing you." She was right. I was being chased by poverty, by the past, by a future I refused to accept. That relentless grind earned me a full ride to MIT. But even then, I juggled 2 part-time jobs to survive, living off ramen and free campus events, still sending a few bucks back home whenever I could. I never stopped hustling. College blurred by in a haze of code, lectures, and overnight shifts. After graduation, I snagged a junior developer job at a small tech firm. 2 years later, I took a leap of faith and launched my own company. It was called SecureFlow, and we built encryption software for banks and financial institutions. The early days were brutal, 18-hour workdays, burning through savings, every decision a gamble. But by year 3, we broke through. Clients poured in, the money followed, and suddenly, failure wasn't the thing keeping me up at night. Through it all, my relationship with my mom stayed complicated. She wore the mask of the proud parent, clapping for my wins, bragging to anyone who'd listen. But there was always something underneath, something that didn't quite sit right. And when I needed somewhere to keep the cash safe for just one night, I thought of her house. I thought, naively, that family was still a safe place. I left $10 million in a bag, trusting the people who raised me. By morning, both my mom and sister were gone. So was the money. All they left behind was a smug little note. If you're wondering why I'm smiling right now, stick around. She'd tell her friends about my success, proudly name-dropping SecureFlow as if she'd been part of the hustle. But sometimes, when I'd share a big milestone or breakthrough, I'd catch this flicker in her eyes, resentment maybe, or something harder to name. Instead of celebrating, she'd quietly shift the conversation to Rebecca's latest crisis or her own health issues. Still, I tried to be generous. When things finally took off, I bought her a comfortable 3-bedroom home in a quiet neighborhood, the kind with tree-lined streets and the garden she used to dream about. I cleared her medical debts and set up a monthly allowance so she could finally leave her waitressing job for good. She smiled and thanked me, but her words always carried a sharp edge. Well, I guess all those years of sacrifice paid off, or at least one of my girls turned out all right. Rebecca was 5 years younger, and if I was the overachiever, she was the drifter. School didn't stick. She dropped out of community college after 1 semester, and jobs came and went like passing fads. There was always some kind of chaos with her, a falling out with friends, a breakup, or a boss who just didn't get her. And Mom always ran interference, saying she was just finding herself, or that I couldn't expect everyone to be as driven as me. Lately, Rebecca's neediness had grown into something more constant. Every few months, it was something: car trouble, missed rent, sudden medical bills, and every time, I sent money. I didn't mind helping, but whenever I gently suggested a job lead or career counseling, it blew up. Next thing I knew, Mom would be on the phone saying Rebecca was in tears, convinced I thought I was better than them. Then came last Thanksgiving. I noticed Rebecca kept sneaking off to take phone calls, whispering like she didn't want anyone to hear. When I asked about it, Mom quickly jumped in, saying Rebecca had finally met someone promising. The moment passed, the topic changed, and I let it go. But now, looking back, those secretive glances between them feel like puzzle pieces I missed. Even with all the tension, I never doubted their love. I mean, we were family. So when the offer came to acquire SecureFlow for $20 million, they were the first people I called. Mom cried and told me how proud she was. Rebecca shrieked with excitement, already talking about how I could help fund the boutique she'd always wanted. I was too caught up in the thrill to notice how quickly their focus shifted, not to my joy, but to what my win could do for them. The acquisition process dragged on for months, contracts, legal back and forth, endless paperwork. But through it all, I held tight to a vision. I'd seen a house high in the hills, a stunning modern build with walls of glass, an infinity pool that shimmered over the city skyline, and enough space for a real home office and guest rooms for visits from Mom and Rebecca. It was expensive, $28 million, but I was ready to make a bold $10 million cash offer to lock it in ahead of the competition. Everything felt like it was finally falling into place. My company would reach more people under new ownership. I had security, freedom, and for the first time in my life, the power to build something just for me. I had financial security beyond anything I could have imagined growing up, and I was about to buy the home of my dreams. I was even engaged to Jason, a calm, grounded environmental engineer who loved me for who I was, not for what I had. I had no idea how fast it would all unravel. The day I walked into Pacific Northwest Bank to withdraw $10 million is burned into my memory. Mr. Thompson, the private banking manager, sat across from me looking deeply uneasy. With his round glasses, receding hairline, and furrowed brow, he tapped a Mont Blanc pen nervously against his portfolio. "Ms. Walker, I strongly advise against this," he said. "For real estate transactions of this size, a wire transfer is the standard. Cash introduces too much risk." I'd been expecting that argument. "I understand," I replied, "but this property has multiple serious buyers, and the seller specifically said they'd prioritize a cash offer for speed." He leaned forward, voice low, like he was letting me in on a secret. "You're talking about $10 million in actual bills. That's 20,000 notes. It'll take several duffel bags and weigh around 22 pounds per million." I nodded. "I know. I've done the math." I told him I had private security already arranged. 2 armed guards would escort me from the bank straight to a secure location. The money would be in my possession for less than 48 hours before the closing. After almost an hour of pushback and waivers, he finally started the withdrawal process. The bank needed 3 business days to bring in that much cash from regional reserves, something that only made me more confident the seller would take me seriously. That night, I explained everything to Jason over dinner at our favorite Italian spot. The moment I mentioned cash, his fork stopped midair. "Mackenzie, this is insane," he said, eyes wide. "You're carrying that much money yourself? What if someone follows you? What if you're robbed?" I told him I'd hired Kyle's firm. My old college friend now ran a trusted security company. 2 guards will take me to Mom's house. The money stays in her safe overnight. The next day, they'll escort me to the closing. Jason frowned. "Why your mom's safe? Why not a bank deposit box?" I explained that bank boxes were too small. Plus, Mom's safe was practically a vault. I'd had it installed 3 years ago when she started hoarding those porcelain figurines she obsesses over. Jason rubbed his hand through his hair, the way he always did when he was frustrated. "This is unnecessary, Mac. There's a reason people use transfers." But I was firm. The Richardsons already lost 3 buyers to financing issues. Cash gives me certainty, and certainty gets me the house. Trust me, I've got this. I reached across the table, taking Jason's hand. "It's just one night, and then we'll have our dream home." He gave my hand a squeeze, but his eyes stayed uncertain. "I just don't get why I can't come with you," he said. I reminded him of the river restoration presentation, his biggest project of the year. "It's one night," I said. "I'll be fine at Mom's." 2 days later, I stood in a private room at Pacific Northwest Bank as 2 tellers methodically counted $10 million. They sealed the bills into tamper-evident bags, which were then packed into 3 plain duffel bags. As arranged, Kyle had sent his best men, Trevor, a former military police officer, and Marcus, who used to protect tech executives. We drove out with caution, taking an indirect route and changing lanes, often to avoid any potential tails. Trevor handled the wheel, while Marcus sat beside me in the back, one hand always close to his concealed weapon. When we reached Mom's quiet suburban house, her eyes widened at the sight of the security team. Rebecca was there too, supposedly helping her prep for a garden club meeting. At the time, that excuse sounded harmless. Now I know better. "Goodness, Mackenzie," Mom said as the guards brought the bags inside. Is all this really necessary? 10 million isn't something to take lightly, I said, leading them to the home office. The safe was hidden behind a sliding bookcase, a feature Mom had insisted on when I installed it. Fireproof, electronically locked, and with a backup key system, it was a serious piece of equipment, more than capable of holding the bags. As Trevor and Marcus stacked the money inside, I noticed Mom and Rebecca hovering in the doorway, eyes glued to every move. Back then, I chalked it up to curiosity. Now, I know it was something else entirely. We'll be back tomorrow at 9, Trevor said before leaving. Call if anything comes up. After they left, the atmosphere shifted. The house felt tense in a way I couldn't quite explain. Mom busied herself in the kitchen, cooking dinner like we were hosting royalty. Rebecca sat close, asking a string of questions about the new house, its location, the layout, and whether I planned to install a safe like Mom's. During dinner, Mom started asking questions she'd never cared about before. So this money, she said, twirling her spaghetti, it's all in cash? Not checks or anything? All cash, I replied. Mostly $500 bills. Rebecca tilted her head. And the bank just lets you walk out with that much? Her voice was a little too high, a little too eager. Not exactly, I said, but I didn't press further. There was quite a process, I said, gesturing toward the locked safe. And as you saw, I hired security. Mom nodded, brow furrowed. And these people tomorrow, they're expecting cash? That won't seem strange? At this level, it's not unusual, I explained. Cash offers carry weight, especially for a property like this. Later that evening, she took a phone call in her bedroom with the door closed. When she came out, her cheeks were flushed. Everything okay? I asked. Just Helena from Garden Club confirming tomorrow's meeting, she said, eyes not quite meeting mine. I slept in my old bedroom that night, the twin mattress far too small for my adult body. Around midnight, I thought I heard voices, soft whispers in the hallway, but brushed it off as my imagination. Or maybe Mom checking on me like she used to. If I'd known it would be the last normal night of my life, I might have listened harder, noticed the strange energy, the subtle thrill in the air, the secretive phone calls. But I was drained. From the withdrawal, the pressure, the decisions, and sleep came quickly. Morning sunlight filtered through the thin curtains, and for a split second, I felt like a teenager again. Then it all came rushing back. I was 31, with $10 million locked in a safe downstairs, and I was hours away from securing the biggest purchase of my life. The house was oddly quiet. No sound of breakfast being made, no distant hum of conversation. I checked my phone, 7:45 a.m. Still plenty of time before Trevor and Marcus were due at 9. Mom? I called out as I stepped into the hallway in my pajamas. No answer. I knocked on her bedroom door. Nothing. I opened it to find the bed made, crisp and untouched. Maybe she left early for her club meeting. Rebecca? I called, knocking on the guest room door. Silence again. A slow unease crept in as I moved toward the home office. The bookcase concealing the safe stood slightly ajar. My pulse spiked. I pulled it fully open, breath caught in my throat. The safe door hung open, empty. The duffel bags were gone. Every bill, gone. Number. No! I whispered, then shouted, then screamed. I tore through the house like a madwoman, flinging open closets, cabinets, drawers, hoping, praying it was some cruel mistake. In the kitchen, my legs nearly gave out. A note sat propped against the coffee maker, written in my mother's familiar handwriting. Mackenzie, thanks for your money. Now we can live our dream life. Don't try to find us. Mom and Rebecca. My legs buckled, and I collapsed to the kitchen floor, the note trembling in my hand. The walls spun as the truth crashed over me like a wave of ice. My own mother and sister had taken everything. I grabbed my phone with numb fingers and dialed Jason, barely able to speak through the sobs. They're gone. The money. All of it. They took everything. Jason's voice came groggy, confused. Mackenzie, slow down. Who's gone? What happened? Mom and Rebecca, I managed. They stole it. $10 million. The safe is empty. 20 minutes later, Jason burst through the front door, still in the MIT t-shirt and sweatpants he'd slept in, hair a mess, eyes wide with panic. I sat at the kitchen table, staring at my phone like it might fix everything. I've called them 16 times, I muttered. Mom's goes straight to voicemail. Rebecca's rings once, then cuts off. They've blocked me. Jason dropped to his knees beside me and took my hands. We need to call the police. The next few hours passed in a blur. 2 uniformed officers arrived first, followed by Detective Sarah Martinez, a sharp, composed woman with salt and pepper hair pulled into a tight ponytail. She listened intently as I explained everything, her face unreadable, her pen moving steadily. When I finished, she paused. So, just to confirm, you withdrew $10 million in cash, brought it to your mother's home, locked it in her safe, and now both she and your sister are gone? Said aloud. It sounded absurd. I nodded, my cheeks burning with shame. And you have proof of the withdrawal? I pulled up the bank receipts and waivers on my phone. She took photos of everything, then asked, "Did you notice any warning signs? Anything that made you question their intentions?" "Nothing solid," I admitted. "They seemed curious, but I figured that was normal. Who wouldn't be curious about $10 million in cash?" Detective Martinez's expression softened. Just a bit. "Ms. Walker, I'll be straight with you. This is a complicated case. Since you voluntarily placed the money in your mother's safe, it could legally be interpreted as a gift or a family agreement gone wrong." "A gift?" I said, stunned. "I was buying a house." "They knew that." "This was theft," Detective Martinez confirmed. "I'll investigate thoroughly, but prepare yourself. Family cases involving money are often legally complicated." After she left, promising to issue an alert for my mom and sister, Jason held me close while I cycled between sobbing and fury. "Who does this?" I kept asking. "What kind of mother steals from her own daughter?" Then my phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. My hands trembled as I opened it. A photo of Mom and Rebecca boarding what looked like a private jet. Both wore oversized sunglasses and wide grins. The caption read, "Always wanted to fly private. Thanks for making it possible." Minutes later, I got a voicemail. Rebecca's voice, probably from a burner phone. "Hey sis," she cooed. "Bet you're freaking out. Get over it. You've had everything while Mom sacrificed. We watched you win while we struggled. That money? It's our turn. You'll make another 10 million. We won't. Don't come looking. By the time you hear this, we'll be in a no extradition country. Love you." Her words hit like a slap, mocking, cold, and calculated. Had I really been handed everything? I'd built my company from the ground up, working to the edge of collapse, pouring every cent into building a future, and I'd always shared it. I bought Mom a house, paid her bills, bailed Rebecca out more times than I could count. "They planned this," I whispered, the truth finally sinking in. This wasn't impulsive. They saw the acquisition coming months ago. They'd been planning since then. Jason paced the room, fists clenched. "We need to tell Martinez about the message and voicemail." I nodded slowly, still processing the magnitude of what had just happened. My mother and sister, the two people I trusted most, had looked at my success not with pride, but with hunger. They hadn't seen me as family. They'd seen me as a bank account. Jason was on the phone with the detective when another wave of horror hit me. The house, my dream home. The closing was today. I was short $10 million and had no way to make up the difference in time. The future I'd worked so hard for, the dream I'd sacrificed for, was slipping through my fingers. All because I trusted the wrong people I loved too much to see clearly. The days that followed were a blur of police interviews, lawyers, and sleepless nights. I replayed every moment, every red flag I ignored, every warning I brushed aside. The betrayal wasn't just criminal, it was personal, etched into the very fabric of my family. Detective Sarah Martinez became a constant in my life, her calm professionalism offering the only anchor in the chaos. "We've confirmed they left on a private charter to the Cayman Islands," she told me 3 days after the theft, sitting across from me at my kitchen table. "From there, we believe they boarded another flight, but we're still tracking that movement." I stared into a mug of coffee I couldn't taste. "How did they even arrange a private plane? Your sister contacted a charter company 2 weeks ago. They paid cash, likely yours, and used fake IDs. Very organized." She paused before continuing. "This level of planning suggests they didn't act alone." My stomach dropped. "What kind of help?" "We're looking into some recent connections your mother made. There's evidence she was in contact with individuals known for orchestrating disappearances like this." It hit me like a punch. "You're saying she was working with criminals?" "We found internet searches on her computer for non-extradition countries going back 3 months, Martinez said, her voice steady. "And encrypted emails we're still trying to decode." I sat frozen. The woman who once scolded me for not returning $1 in change had spent months plotting a multi-million-dollar heist. "Do you think they might be hiding with relatives?" she asked. I shook my head. "Mom's sister, Aunt Pamela, lives in Arizona, but they haven't spoken in years. Rebecca once mentioned cousins in Florida, but I've never met them." Martinez jotted a note. "We'll check both. Family ties tend to resurface when money enters the equation." After she left, I reached out to Richard Bennett, our longtime family attorney, and the man who'd overseen both my business and personal legal affairs. I met him at his downtown office, desperate for clarity. "This is theft. Plain and simple," Richard said firmly. "The bank documentation clearly shows the funds were yours, withdrawn for a real estate purchase. Your mother had no legal right to it." I frowned. "But Detective Martinez said it could be tricky since I voluntarily placed the money in her safe." Richard sighed, removing his glasses and rubbing the bridge of his nose. "It complicates the optics, but not the legality. This was still theft. The challenge now is jurisdiction. We'll need emergency court motions, immediate outreach to authorities in potential destination countries, and efforts to freeze any accounts the money might land in." "How long will that take?" I asked. Richard didn't answer right away, but his expression said it all. "Weeks at minimum," he admitted. "Maybe months, and even then, no guarantees, especially if they've covered their tracks as well as it looks." I left his office with dread curling in my gut. The legal path would be long, expensive, and might lead nowhere. Meanwhile, Mom and Rebecca were out there, spending my money without a care. The emotional weight was crushing. I began seeing Dr. Elaine Foster, a therapist who specialized in trauma and betrayal. Twice a week, I sat in her softly lit office, surrounded by leafy plants and abstract paintings, trying to find words for what I felt. "I keep replaying every moment," I confessed during our third session. "Was Mom always like this? Did she resent me the whole time? Were all those I love used just part of a plan?" Dr. Foster leaned forward gently. "Our minds aren't built to process betrayal like this. From people we've labeled as safe, it fractures your sense of reality." "I trusted them," I whispered. "I would have given them anything. Why steal from me?" "Sometimes," she said, "people develop warped beliefs about money and fairness. They convince themselves they deserve what they're taking, justifying it through some imagined imbalance. It doesn't make it true, and it certainly doesn't make it right." The sessions helped a little, but the nightmares didn't stop. Night after night, I dreamed of chasing Mom and Rebecca through endless airport terminals, always seconds too late. I'd wake up gasping, drenched in sweat, reaching for Jason, only to find his side of the bed cold. He'd started sleeping in the guest room, claiming my tossing and turning kept him from resting. But deep down, I knew it was more than that. The theft had taken something from our relationship too. The ease between us was gone. Small things turned into fights. Silence stretched longer and longer. One night, after I spent hours on the phone with Detective Martinez about a possible sighting in Singapore, Jason finally said it. "You need to start thinking about moving forward." "Moving forward?" I repeated. "They stole $10 million from me." "I know," he said, weary, "but you're letting it consume you. You haven't left the apartment in days, you barely eat, you're not sleeping, and you turned down that consulting job at Next Tech." "I can't focus on work right now," I snapped. "That's my point," he said quietly. "You've let this become your whole life. Mac, there's more to you than what they did." I couldn't make Jason understand. This wasn't just about money. It was about reality breaking apart. Every childhood memory now felt corrupted. Every so-called sacrifice my mother had made for me suddenly felt suspicious. And as the investigation moved forward, more disturbing truths emerged. Detective Martinez discovered that Mom had maintained a secret email account for years, one I never knew existed. In it, she found messages exchanged with Rebecca going back 18 months, casually referring to something they called the plan. There were mentions of frequent casino visits and gambling debts I'd never known about. Records showed Mom had taken out a second mortgage on the house I'd bought her, likely to cover those debts. There were also signs of small thefts from past employers. Nothing big enough to land her in court, but enough to reveal a long pattern of dishonesty I'd been blind to. The most devastating find came from a crawl space above her closet, a hidden folder stuffed with notes and documents. There were annotated news clippings about my company's acquisition, financial charts with scribbled calculations, and a list titled Mackenzie's Weaknesses. At the very top, trusts family completely. Each discovery was a deeper cut. The woman I thought I knew, the one who pulled double shifts to support us, who held me through nightmares, who beamed with pride when I graduated, had either been a lie, or worse, had been real once, but was eroded by resentment and greed until only cold ambition remained. Week 6 came, and the impact stretched beyond my emotions. The sellers of my dream home accepted another offer. My financial advisors were growing skeptical and asking pointed questions, and in the tight-knit tech world, whispers had started about my judgment, about my stability. Everything I'd built was fraying, and I couldn't stop it. 6 weeks after the theft, I sat across from Detective Martinez again. Her office had become familiar, But that didn't make it any easier to hear what came next. Singaporean authorities found the hotel they stayed in, she said, sliding photos across her desk. But they checked out 3 days ago. I stared at the grainy surveillance stills. Mom's gray hair was now a rich auburn, cropped short. Rebecca had gone blonde and wore blue contacts. Both had clearly lost weight and wore designer clothes I didn't recognize. They looked nothing like the women I knew, not in appearance, not in energy. They were strangers now, polished, disguised, and vanishing further with every passing hour. Somehow, that hurt more than the theft itself. They hadn't just taken my money, they'd erased themselves from the life we once shared. They don't even look like themselves, I murmured, tracing a finger over my mother's altered face in the surveillance photo. She was a stranger now, just someone who shared her bone structure. They're using the names Catherine and Emily Bradford, Detective Martinez explained. We believe they bought those identities off the dark web. The forgeries are elaborate, digital records that go back years. How is that even possible? I asked. Martinez leaned back. With enough money, almost anything is. The network they're using doesn't just forge documents. They build entire lives, paper trails, social media accounts, even fake job histories. So they could be anyone, anywhere, and we'd never know? Not exactly, she said. We found these aliases because we knew what to look for. But yes, they're making it harder with every step. I left the station feeling like a husk. The investigation was still active, but every lead dissolved into air. My mother and sister had become professional ghosts, armed with fake identities and fueled by stolen millions. When I got home, 3 voicemails waited. The first was from Richard Bennett with updates on our international filings. The second was from my real estate agent, asking if I wanted to tour a new listing. The third hit harder. It was from Marcus Wilson, a potential business partner I'd been negotiating with before the theft. His tone was polite but distant. Given the recent complications, it's probably best we put things on hold. Let me know when things settle. It wasn't the first door to quietly close. A profile in Tech Innovators Monthly had been canceled without explanation. 2 speaking engagements were indefinitely postponed. Collaborators once eager to connect were suddenly busy. For all its talk of innovation, the tech world had no patience for personal mess. To them, my failure to protect my own money wasn't just a scandal, it was a liability. If I couldn't safeguard my own assets from my own family, how could anyone trust me with theirs? Investors, partners, clients, none of them wanted to risk guilt by association. The real breaking point came that evening. Jason walked in from work, setting his laptop bag down with a sigh. His expression was unreadable. Detective Martinez called, he said. She wanted to know if I'd heard anything. And had you? The words came out sharp, defensive. He flinched. Of course not. But the fact that you'd ask says a lot about where we are right now. Where we are? I echoed. Yes, Mackenzie. Where we are, he said flatly. And just like that, I realized this theft hadn't just cost me my money, my home, or my reputation. It was beginning to cost me everything. Where we are, Jason repeated, gesturing between us. You don't sleep. You barely eat. You spend every waking hour talking to the detective, the lawyer, or scrolling through international banking laws. When was the last time we talked about anything besides the theft? I tried to recall and couldn't. The theft had swallowed everything. It wasn't just a loss. It had become my entire identity. They stole $10 million, I said. What am I supposed to do? Just let it go? No, he replied, but you need to find a way to live while you deal with it. It's been 6 weeks. And you're stuck in the same place emotionally as the day it happened. That's not fair, I shot back. What's not fair, he said, his voice cracking, is watching the woman I love disappear into this black hole of obsession and being completely powerless to help her. I've tried to be patient, supportive, but you won't let me in, Mac. Every time I reach out, you shut down. I felt my chest tighten, heat rising behind my eyes. So it's my fault now? I'm the victim here. Yes, you are, he said gently. But you're using that pain to push everyone away. Your friends stopped calling because you ignore them. You've turned down every invite to get out of the apartment, and when I bring up anything other than the theft, you either freeze or circle back to it. I knew he was right. Deep down, I'd known it for weeks, but admitting that felt like another kind of defeat, another loss in a year already full of them. What do you want from me? I asked, voice low. Jason ran a hand through his hair. I want to know if there's room in your life for anything besides this, because right now, it doesn't feel like there is. Is this an ultimatum? It's a plea for honesty, he said. Can you imagine a future beyond this? A day when you're not consumed by finding them? I opened my mouth to answer, to promise I could move forward, but the words caught in my throat. I couldn't picture it. The betrayal had become everything. It filled every corner of my mind. The hunt had become my reason for waking up. I think I need some space, Jason said quietly into the silence. I'm going to stay at Greg's for a while. When you're ready to come back to life, not just survive, call me. He started packing. I sat frozen on the couch, unable to argue, unsure if I even wanted to stop him. A part of me understood that he wasn't just walking away from me. He was walking away from the version of me this trauma had created. When the door finally closed behind him, the apartment felt cavernous, echoing, empty in a way that had nothing to do with space and everything to do with what had just walked out. And for the first time, I wondered if justice was even worth what it was costing me. I spent the night alone, staring at the ceiling, replaying every moment from the past 6 weeks. Then further back, combing through every memory with my mother and sister, now shaded by betrayal. Had the signs always been there? Had I ignored them because facing the truth meant unraveling my entire foundation? Or had they truly changed, seduced by the idea of wealth beyond anything they'd ever known? By morning, I'd hit rock bottom. I hadn't slept, I hadn't eaten, Jason was gone. My career was crumbling, the money was still missing. And despite international efforts, my mother and sister were still out there, free and thriving. I stood in my kitchen, staring at my reflection in the dark window. The woman looking back was hollow-eyed, pale, and unfamiliar. I didn't recognize her. I didn't want to be her. Something had to shift. I just didn't know what or how. Then, at 2:17 a.m., the call came. It jolted me out of a restless half-sleep. I fumbled for my phone. Trevor Sullivan, one of the security guards who'd escorted me to Mom's house that day. "Trevor?" I mumbled, my throat dry. "Is something wrong?" "Ms. Walker, I'm sorry for the hour, but I need to speak with you immediately, in person. It's about your situation." I sat up fast, now fully awake. "Can this wait until morning?" "No, ma'am," he said firmly. "It's not a phone conversation. I'll be there in 20. His tone brooked no argument. "All right," I replied. Exactly 19 minutes later, the doorbell rang. Trevor stood in my hallway, still in his security company polo, his face tight with urgency. "Thank you for seeing me," he said as I let him in. "Is your apartment secure? No cleaners or maintenance been in recently?" "No," I said, confused. "Just me." "Trevor, what's going on?" He gave the room a quick scan before speaking. "The money your mother and sister took, it wasn't real." The words made no sense. "What?" "The cash in those duffel bags. Counterfeit," he said. "High-quality fakes. Sophisticated, but fake." I dropped onto the couch, mind reeling. "That's not possible." "I withdrew it from Pacific Northwest Bank. You were there." Trevor nodded. "Yes, but what you don't know is that Kyle, my boss, has a strict protocol for high-value cash transports. All bundles are tagged with hidden trackers and embedded security strips. When we placed the bags in your mother's safe," Trevor continued, "I activated our security systems." "And?" I asked, barely breathing. "The trackers showed the bags leaving your mother's house at 4:12 a.m., headed to a private airfield. But here's the important part. The embedded security strips are designed to detect the chemical signature of real currency. 2 hours after the bags were moved, those strips registered a complete shift. The real money had been swapped out." My brain scrambled to keep up. "So someone stole the money before my mother took it? A double theft?" Trevor hesitated. "Not exactly. The switch happened the night before delivery, at Kyle's secure facility. The real cash was replaced with high-quality counterfeits. Visually perfect, but worthless." My confusion snapped into fury. "Are you saying Kyle stole my money?" Trevor's expression remained calm. "No, Ms. Walker," he said quietly. "I'm saying you arranged the swap." I stared at him, certain I'd misheard. "What? 3 days before the withdrawal, you contacted Kyle privately. You told him you had concerns about your mother's intentions and wanted a contingency plan. You asked us to swap the cash and store the real funds in our highest security vault." My mouth went dry. "I never did that. I would have remembered." Trevor pulled a folded document from his pocket. "This is the signed instruction form you submitted. That's your signature, isn't it?" I took the paper in trembling hands. It was my signature, clear, unmistakable. And suddenly, a memory surfaced. Kyle pulling me aside at the bank, asking for a quick confirmation, something about protocol. I'd signed without reading, overwhelmed by the pressure of the withdrawal. I don't remember doing this specifically," I admitted, "but it was such a chaotic day. Kyle wanted to contact you immediately after your mother took the bags, Trevor explained. But our monitoring system glitched. We only discovered the full scope of the situation during a diagnostics check yesterday. Kyle sent me here because of the sensitivity. I sat frozen, trying to absorb the implications. My mother and sister had risked everything for bags full of expertly crafted, completely fake bills. So, the real 10 million? I asked. Still locked in our secure vault, Trevor said, awaiting your instructions. Something broke loose in me. An unexpected, uncontrollable laugh that bubbled up like pressure releasing from a sealed valve. All this time, the heartbreak, the therapy, the wrecked relationships, and they'd stolen nothing. The poetic justice was almost too perfect to believe. They'd planned a grand betrayal and walked away with worthless paper. I wasn't sure whether to cry harder or laugh louder, but for the first time in weeks, I felt like I could finally breathe. I need to see it, I said once I could finally speak without choking. The real money. I need to see it with my own eyes. Of course, Trevor replied. I can take you now. 2 hours later, I stood inside a climate-controlled vault beneath Kyle's security firm, staring at 3 familiar duffel bags. With trembling fingers, I unzipped one. Inside were stacks of crisp, $500 bills, exactly as I remembered. It's all here, Kyle confirmed beside me. 10 million untouched, and the trackers in the fake bundles are still live. They're still active? I asked, a plan already forming. We can monitor their location in real time. He handed me a tablet. A blinking signal hovered over a map. Monaco. I inhaled deeply, my mind sharper than it had been in weeks. I want everything. Their travel logs, transaction history, surveillance photos, anything you can trace. Kyle gave a nod. May I ask what you're planning? A smile crept across my face. One not hollow or broken, but cold and resolute. Something I should have done from the start. I'm taking back control. Within 72 hours, I transformed from a grieving victim to a calculated strategist. I built a tight team I could trust. Kyle brought tactical expertise. Detective Martinez, though initially skeptical, came on board once she saw the evidence. Haley Winters, my brilliant former COO and closest friend, returned without hesitation. And Richard Bennett guided us through the legal maze. We met in Kyle's secure facility, surrounded by monitors, maps, bank records, and photos. The trackers in the counterfeit cash painted a clear picture of my mother and sister's journey across Europe and Asia. They're following a pattern, I said, pointing to the map. After Singapore, they hit Dubai, then Monaco. Now they're in Nice. They stayed in 5-star resorts, shopped at designer boutiques, dined at Michelin-starred restaurants. At this rate, Haley added, scanning the numbers, they'll burn through all 10 million in under 18 months. They're not just spending, Detective Martinez said. They're flaunting. She pulled up several Instagram accounts, photos of luxury goods, yachts, private villas, champagne flutes raised against scenic skylines. The faces were never shown, but I recognized the details. My mother's hands, my sister's posture. They want me to see this, I whispered. They think I'm watching them spend my money. They think they've won. But now, I held every card, and they had no idea. They think you're tracking their accounts, Kyle said, watching them enjoy what they stole. That gives us an edge. They're predictable, he continued. Based on spending habits and social media posts, we believe Milan is their next stop, likely within 3 days. Then that's where we'll be, I said firmly. I want to see their faces when they realize what they actually took. The plan came together with near military precision. Private investigators in France confirmed flight bookings to Milan and hotel reservations under their false identities at the exclusive Palazzo Parigi. Richard secured cooperation from Italian financial authorities, who were eager to intercept counterfeit currency crossing their borders. 5 days later, I sat in first class on a flight to Milan. Haley was beside me, going over our strategy one final time. For the first time since the betrayal, I felt something close to peace. Not because I was about to confront the people who had broken me, but because I was finally back in control. Are you nervous? Haley asked as the plane began its descent. I paused. No, I said, and meant it. I'm ready. Milan welcomed us with blue skies and warm sunlight, as if fate itself had aligned in our favor. We set up a command center in a hotel suite near Palazzo Parigi, where surveillance confirmed my mother and sister had checked in earlier that day. They've made dinner reservations at La Scala, Detective Martinez told us. 8 p.m., private table in the back. Champagne pre-ordered. Perfect, I replied, studying the restaurant's floor plan. We'll confront them there, public enough to avoid chaos, private enough for what needs to be said. Richard adjusted his tie. Italian authorities are standing by. Once we confirm they have the counterfeit bills, they'll move in. I nodded, but the anger that once consumed me had cooled into sharp, clear focus. This wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about ending a chapter that had defined and nearly destroyed me. At exactly 8:15 p.m., I walked into La Scala wearing a sleek black dress and a low ponytail. My heels clicked against the marble floor with deliberate precision. Haley and Kyle stationed themselves at the bar. Detective Martinez waited outside with the Italian officials, and Richard remained in the command center to coordinate the legal fallout. The restaurant's lighting was soft, the hum of conversation elegant and contained. At a candlelit corner table, I saw them, my mother and sister, laughing over glasses of champagne they hadn't earned. They looked relaxed, unaware, fully immersed in their illusion of triumph. But that illusion was seconds from shattering. I took a steady breath and began walking toward them, ready, finally, to end this. I spotted them immediately. My mother wore a deep emerald designer gown I didn't recognize, her newly auburn hair swept into an elegant twist. Rebecca was draped in what looked like Chanel, diamond earrings catching the candlelight as she laughed at something on her phone. On the table between them sat an open bottle of Dom Perignon and a black Hermès handbag, no doubt carrying some of the fake cash. They didn't notice me until I was standing right beside their table. "Room for one more?" I asked quietly. The shift in their expressions would have been funny in any other situation. Shock, fear, confusion, all flashing across their faces like a bad stage play. "Mackenzie?" my mother whispered. "How did you find you?" I finished for her. "It wasn't hard. You haven't exactly been subtle." I pulled out a chair and sat, waving off the concerned waiter. "Nice dress. Valentino?" Rebecca recovered first, her expression tightening. "What do you want? Come to beg for your money back?" I smiled, calm, settling deeper. "Actually, I came to ask how you're enjoying spending it. Is it everything you dreamed of?" My mother's eyes narrowed. "What kind of game is this?" "No game," I said softly. "Just curious. $10 million is a lot of money. Was it worth it? Worth the lies, the betrayal, destroying everything we had?" Rebecca gave a brittle laugh. "Oh, please. You'll make another 10 million in a year. This was our only shot at the life we deserve." "The life you deserve," I repeated. "And what exactly do you think that means?" My mother straightened. "Freedom. From fear. From watching you win while we scraped by." "Scraped by?" I said, my voice cool. "In the house I bought for you? Living off the allowance I gave you? Calling me every time you created another crisis?" My tone had sharpened, and I paused, pulling myself back to center. "But that's not really why I'm here." I reached for Rebecca's handbag. She moved to stop me, but I ignored her and pulled out a stack of bills. "You know what's special about $500 bills?" I asked. They exchanged confused glances. "They're rare. Most people never handle them, which makes them ideal for counterfeiting, if you know what you're doing." I held the stack to the light, showing the faint watermark. "High-quality fakes, nearly undetectable, unless you know what to look for." The color drained from my mother's face as the truth finally began to land. "What are you talking about?" Rebecca snapped. "The money you stole," I said evenly. "It's fake. Every single bill, completely worthless." She grabbed the stack from my hand, flipping through it in disbelief. "You're lying. We've been spending it for weeks. Small amounts," I replied, "in tourist shops and luxury boutiques where no one questions wealthy customers waving cash. But try depositing a chunk into a bank. Try buying property. It won't work." My mother's hand trembled as she reached for her wine glass. "I don't believe you. The real money never left the vault at the security firm. All 10 million is still there, untouched." "That's impossible," Rebecca hissed. "We took it ourselves, after it had been swapped for counterfeits," I said, leaning forward. "Did you really think I'd leave that much cash unprotected? I knew something was off. I didn't want to believe it was you, but I took precautions anyway." Their faces shifted. Fear, confusion, denial giving way to dawning horror. Rebecca rifled through her handbag, inspecting the bills, searching for proof they were real. "Even if that's true," my mother said, her voice barely holding steady, "you can't prove we took it. It's your word against ours." "That might have worked," I said calmly, "if not for the tracking devices embedded in every bundle. Devices that recorded your movements across 3 continents. I gestured toward the entrance, where Detective Martinez had just walked in with 2 Italian officers in plain clothes. "They know everything. Where you went, what you spent, and what you plan next." Rebecca's expression collapsed. "You set us up." "No," I said softly. You set yourselves up the moment you betrayed me." What followed was quiet, almost anticlimactic. The officers approached the table discreetly, flashing their badges and asking us to come with them. My mother and sister were separated for questioning. Their rooms were searched, uncovering nearly $7 million in counterfeit bills they hadn't yet spent. Hours later, I found myself in a sterile interview room at the Milan Financial Crimes Division, seated across from my mother for what I knew would be the last time. Her expensive dress clashed with the cold, gray walls. Her mascara ran down her cheeks, smeared from crying. "Why?" I asked. The question simple, heavy. "I gave you everything you ever asked for. What made you think you deserved it all?" She wouldn't meet my eyes. "You make it sound so simple," she murmured. "It is simple," I said quietly. "You're my mother. I loved you. I trusted you. And you had everything." The words burst out of her like they'd been dammed up for years. "Everything always came so easily to you. The grades, the scholarships, the success. Do you know what it's like to watch your child surpass you in every way? To become a charity case in your daughter's perfect life?" I stared at her, stunned. "I never saw you that way. I wanted to share my success with both of you, on your terms," she snapped. "Your money, your rules, your judgment about how we lived." I paused, considering her version of the story. Maybe I had been controlling. Maybe my help had felt like pressure. But planning a months-long theft, that wasn't frustration. That was betrayal. She had no answer. In another room, Rebecca was more forthcoming with Detective Martinez, perhaps hoping to cut a deal. She described how Mom first suggested the plan after hearing about my company's acquisition, how they studied how to disappear with large sums of money, practiced opening the safe while I visited, even rehearsed their garden club lie. The legal proceedings were messy and international, stretching across multiple jurisdictions. In the end, both were charged with theft, fraud, and possession of counterfeit currency. My mother received 5 years. Rebecca got 3, with the possibility of parole in 18 months. Deciding to press charges nearly broke me. Richard and Detective Martinez insisted I had to, for accountability, and to protect others from becoming future targets. I agreed, but I refused to give a victim impact statement. "They've already lost what matters," I told Richard. "Their freedom, their relationship with me, their credibility, that's punishment enough." 3 months after Milan, I finally closed on my dream home. Not the cold, glass mansion I once wanted, but a warm, lived-in house on a wooded hill, overlooking the city. It had fewer rooms, more soul, and wraparound porches perfect for early mornings with coffee and quiet. Jason came back, not just physically, but emotionally. The way I handled everything reminded him of the woman he'd fallen in love with. We were rebuilding carefully, with weekly date nights and sessions with a couples therapist who helped us process the trauma we'd both carried. It wasn't easy, but it was real. And for the first time in a long time, I felt like I was building something lasting. Not in spite of what I'd been through, but because of it. "You know what's ironic?" I said one evening, sitting beside Jason on the porch swing as the sun dipped behind the trees, painting the sky in soft pinks and gold. "If they'd just asked, I would have given them the money. Not 10 million, but enough to change their lives if they'd only asked." Jason's arm tightened gently around my shoulders. "Some people can't ask," he said. "Taking feels like power to them. Asking means admitting they needed you." I nodded. "I'm not sure I'll ever understand it completely," I admitted, "but I'm learning to live with the questions." And I was. The nightmares had faded. I'd returned to work, launching a consulting firm that let me use my skills without the relentless weight of startup life. I reconnected with friends I'd neglected, shared my story openly, and found unexpected strength in vulnerability. Most importantly, I learned how to trust again, cautiously, thoughtfully, but truly. The betrayal didn't define me. It shaped who I would become. "You know," Jason said, breaking the quiet, "most people would have been wrecked by this, but you didn't just survive it. You turned it around. You're stronger than before." I considered that as the last light faded over the horizon. "Not stronger," I said softly, "just more myself, more sure of what actually matters." And what mattered, I'd discovered, wasn't the money or even the justice I fought for. It was the ability to face betrayal without becoming bitter, to seek truth without losing compassion, to rebuild without forgetting what was broken. As night settled over us, I realized I was genuinely grateful, not for the pain, but for the clarity it gave me. I'd found resilience I never knew I had, and loyalty in the people who stayed, and the deepest truth of all, trust. once shattered, could still be rebuilt, stronger, wiser, and more honest than before. I've shared this story not for curiosity's sake or to spotlight family drama, but because I know some of you listening have felt this kind of betrayal too. Maybe not over millions of dollars, but pain is pain. And if my story offers you anything, let it be this. Betrayal tells you everything about the betrayer and nothing about your worth. If you've lived through betrayal that changed you, maybe even made you stronger, share your story in the comments below. And if this resonated, like and subscribe to join our community of resilient survivors. Because sometimes the most brutal plot twists give rise to the most beautiful rewrites. Thanks for listening. Until next time, trust wisely, but never stop trusting completely.